Before we start, let us count what all has happened today. Lionel Messi has finally won an international trophy with Argentina. Novak Djokovic has just equaled Roger Federer with 20 Grand Slams. So it's been quite a historic day. And going by the way things are, in at the moment in the sporting world with these two events today. But let us go back a bit to 2020 and see Liverpool winning the EPL, and we are seeing the way India played in Australia and won the series. Australia losing at the Gabba after 31 years. Freakish things are happening in the world of sport. And today, the big question that the world is asking, and I know that the words, the big question is used in a lot of news channels in this country, but still, that is the big question. Is it coming home? There we have it. Is it coming home? Welcome to Niche Sports, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, we are going to talk about the Euro 2020 final, England versus Italy. It's a party atmosphere in London. I've been there during the 2019 World Cup final, the cricket final, and I've seen the kind of atmosphere that the city can grip. And it's football, it's a lot bigger. So I can only imagine what it's like with all that's happened during the COVID-19 pandemic. Finally, UK has got something to celebrate about potentially. But right now, I've got to welcome you all, tell you that you can join in on our show and comment your any observations that you may have. You can tell us, you can ask any questions, and let me start by welcoming my panel here today. So first and foremost, I've got Suyash joining me. Hi Suyash, welcome. And Suyash is unfortunately not wearing his waistcoat.
Yeah, I don't think it'll make much of a difference to the game that we're going to see, right? Or are we looking for extra narratives to this occasion now? I mean, I can go with it if you want. Yeah, very unlucky for England.
Exactly, and then we've got Kaustav here. I know the wounded Spanish fans may be here, but Kaustav, yes, stop multitasking, start talking.
That's a jab, calling me a wounded Spanish fan. But then again, looking forward.
Exactly. But now we've got someone who seems to have switched loyalties because of the jersey that he's wearing. Look, I'm still wearing the jersey that I started with, okay? But Akash, what are you wearing?
So I'm not sure if it's coming home. And definitely my head says Italy, heart says England because of the fact that I've been following the Premier League for all these years. But I just feel like supporting the Azuris today. So you can see the loyalties have switched momentarily.
Yes, exactly. And now let us start with today's discussion. I know that we've been following social media for quite some time. Suyash, Kaustav, Akash, right since the morning, we've been seeing the kind of party atmosphere it is in England. The Queen has written a letter to Gareth Southgate. The PM has written a letter to Gareth Southgate. The entire nation is watching. After 1966, it is their first major final. That kind of pressure. And today, people were talking about Lionel Messi's moment in the sun, which was a bit like what Sachin Tendulkar had way back in 2011, 10 years ago. In a way, this is a collective Sachin Tendulkar moment, to put it in the context of something that Indian fans may understand. For the England team, how much of pressure will there be? Suyash, let us start with you.
Look, there will be pressure. There's no doubt about that. And there's been pressure throughout the tournament. It increases with every win that you get. So the pressure that's there in the group stages, it'll be exponentially higher in the knockout stages because there's more to lose. There's more skin in the game by that stage. But I think the England players, even though they haven't faced a situation like this before, having been in a major international final, let's just say they're better equipped to deal with the kind of pressure than past English teams may have been. And that may have been one of the biggest reasons for them not being successful on the international stage too, because talent was never in question. They had great players across generations. They had an entire generation where they had some of the best midfielders in world football with Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes, Beckham. But somehow there was always mitigating factors that meant that they could never click on the pitch together. So skill was never in question. It was the other factors. But I think once the other factors are under control, which Gareth Southgate seems to have done, there's a kind of harmony in the squad that we don't usually see in England squads. There is also this quiet confidence, like we've mentioned on this program before as well. Players are more experienced. They've played bigger games. They have the experience of playing those games. So, of course, there will be pressure. But I think more importantly, they're in a better position to deal with the pressure. Though I don't know what's going to happen when 60,000 English fans start screaming when the whistle goes. So that's that.
Apologies for that. I just lost my audio. But Akash, let me bring you into this. We saw in 2018 what had happened with the World Cup, where they had played very well but lost out in the semi-final to Croatia and then lost in the third, fourth place match to Belgium. Now, home soil, always pressure. Yes, the fans are behind you, but sometimes it can work against you as well. You know everything about your home conditions, and we've seen some quite funny posts. How does a team like England deal with that, particularly considering the weight of history?
I think that is where the role of the manager comes in. That is where Gareth Southgate has sort of transformed this England squad from the last 2 years. The defeat against Croatia at the World Cup has given them a lot of lessons from which I think they've learned. They seem to be more in control of the games they play. They seem to know what exactly their formation is. They seem to know their strengths. They seem to know their weaknesses. So it's definitely a much improved squad that we are seeing right now for England since the World Cup. And you see at the bench, I mean, the bench itself, what Giorgio Chiellini said the other day, that the England bench itself is worthy of winning the Euros. So you can just imagine the amount of quality that they have. And not just the quality, it's the overall theme, the overall spirit in the squad that never give up attitude against. We saw that against Denmark. Harry Kane converting from the spot after he actually missed the penalty. So there's this never given kind of attitude that has come in this England squad, and I think all that goes to Gareth Southgate. He has helped his players a lot. Some of the players were struggling for form. He has guided his players. He has chosen a specific tactic for a specific game. So a lot of credit goes to him, and I'm sure they know how to deal with such pressure at this level. As you said, it's going to be difficult, but it seems that they have sort of managed to understand and tackle these situations efficiently.
Let me get you in, Kaustav. Shashank, one of our followers, has written that English football team gives the Indian cricket team vibes, but I must say that Indian cricket team has won a lot more trophies in the last 20, 30 odd years than England have. But the glamour, euphoria, expectations, craziness, you've also been following that right since the morning. What is your reading? England did not have the best of games in the semi-final, but how do they approach the final?
When you have an all-star team, it does become a little difficult considering the odds and the pressure that come along with it. However, I think it's a great battle between the two. Italy have a lot more, they gel a lot more together as compared to England, if you ask me. But then again, probably the all-star team could actually make it through, and it could come home, to answer your question.
That is the big burning question. Yes, we are asked. If I may say, that is the big question that we are asking tonight. Is it coming home? But anyways, we'll move past that because all the focus has been on England. All the focus has been on their history. But is it the Azuris' time? Now, since the 2006 World Cup, not a very memorable time. 2012, they reached the Euro finals, knocked out in the first round of the 2010 World Cup, 2014 World Cup. 2018, they did not qualify. So this is an opportunity under senior stars like Chiellini and Bonucci for them to lift themselves. Italy also have a shot at history, and a lot of the focus is off them, and it could possibly might just favor them because there possibly isn't that much pressure. Suyash, your views on that?
Yeah, and what makes this game so special, in my opinion, is that both teams feel like they can go on and win it. There's no overwhelming favorite over here. Even though England are playing at home and even though they'll be playing in front of their fans, yes, that is one of the advantages that England has over Italy on the day. But that's the only advantage they have. if you look at both the sides, they shape up very similarly. They play in a very similar style, so as to speak, that it's reactive. It's almost chess like. Italy though have evolved their style a little bit more, and there's more tactical nous and awareness about them, if I may say so. Uh, Italy also have another thing going for them, which is that historically they have always been extremely good at reacting and seeing how the game goes, game management, as they say, or playing the game and playing every moment. So that is something that Italy are better at doing than England are, which might then work in their favor. But there's just so many things going for either side that it's a really hard game to call. It could really go either way today.
We've got a comment from Sumit here. He says 5-4-1 England. Is that something that they will consider?
Yeah, I mean, Gareth Southgate has apparently decided to drop Bukayo Saka for this game and go with Kieran Trippier. I don't know if the lineups are out yet, but we'll know in a while. But if he does do that, it'll again be a very Southgate thing to do because he rarely plays the same team successively for two games. Now, doing that in the final requires guts. Doing that in the final requires conviction of purpose. Something that we've seen that Gareth Southgate doesn't lack. He's been very objective with the kind of teams that he's selected. He's not bowed down to public pressure or public opinion as some past English managers have done, which is actually the opposite of what the public perception of him is. It seems to some English fans that he's more of a people pleaser. He kind of toes the line. He's politically correct, but all of his decisions throughout the tournament have indicated otherwise. So even if it's 5-4-1 England, I'm sure Gareth Southgate would have thought about it, very, very deeply for them to execute something like this. But it all depends on whether they win at the end of the day or not. Because if he wins, he's a genius. If they don't win, you know the story.
The lineups are out. That's what Sumit says. And, we've also got an interesting comment from Shantanu who says, by coming home, I wish that meant India. Don't worry, we've got it in 1983, we've got it in 2007, 2011, so that's fine. That's in
This
cricket,
is a
of course.
football show, Nishad.
Yes, of course, and I hope that the Indian hockey team does something at the Olympics because that would be India's version of coming home, to be honest. If we get a medal, it would definitely be India's version of coming home. But you can follow niche sports for that, for the Olympics a lot more after today. But anyways, Akash, bringing you in, Italy, the way they looked, especially during the semi-finals, the penalty shootout, Chiellini looked almost nonchalant. So there seems to be that kind of vibe that they have. Mancini also seems to be quite cool on the sidelines. So Italy seemed to be handling the pressure quite well.
Look, they've been brilliant all summer, the Italians. Their streak remains unbroken. Roberto Mancini is marshalling a group of players who are all rooted behind the cause, including the kit man. So you can see the passion in their eyes when they sing the national anthem. Right from the start, they're passionate about the game.
That doesn't matter which tournament they're playing, they're going to sing the national anthem with the same passion. To tell our viewers, Akash and I log in always 5 minutes before the start of the game only to listen to the Italian national anthem.
Absolutely. So England are up against truly worthy opponents in the final, and as Suyash put it across, it's going to be a very, very tight game, very tough to call. I think the toughest one we've come across. Toughest one we've come across in this tournament, and deservingly so. It's the final. So all eyes on Wembley today, and as you said, like I did for the England manager Gareth Southgate, I would do the same for Roberto Mancini. He has ripped the Italian team apart. He has taken out all the old players, the old guard, except for the two centre backs. He's brought in young blood in the team. He's brought in a new spirit. As you said, they don't seem to fear anyone. You can put them a goal down. You can start the game a goal down, and you would still know that they're gonna score and they're gonna drag the game to the extra time and perhaps to penalties and win it. So that's how spirited these guys are, and it doesn't matter where they play. They play the Wembley, they play the San Siro, they play at the Santiago Bernabeu. These guys are on a roll right now, and they have it's just so difficult to break them down, difficult to score against them. And at the same time, they've got this attacking threat that is so potent. Chiesa, Immobile, Insigne. Although a lot of criticism has come on the way for Immobile back home in Italy. He has been he's for good goal scoring for his club Lazio, but has not transformed or translated into the national team, unfortunately. But still, he's got the Timo Werner kind of streak about him. Timo Werner is someone who would not score a lot of goals, but it creates those opportunities. He provides spaces for other people to come in and exploit them. So he's one of those strikers who may be struggling to score goals, but he at the same time uh, creates those chances, goal scoring chances for his team. So I'm sure I think he's starting as well for Italy today as well. So I don't see him going out anywhere anytime soon as far as his long term future is concerned. And they're setting up the same way they did the last game, and it's going to be a very tough task for Gareth Southgate's men tonight.
Right. And Suyash, you had something to share. I thought you raised your hand.
Yeah, Nishad, you spoke about how the Italians seem to be relaxed and seem to be going in with the nothing to lose attitude, right? Uh, I'm sure Costa will smile on his face right now, and I think he would have, and as I'm sure Akash also would have enjoyed this. Do you guys remember Giorgio Chiellini before the kickoff, the penalty shootout, and his
Yeah.
little exchange with Jordi Alba? The
He
guy
knew.
was, I mean, he knew what he was doing. I think Alba over there just kind of went retracted into his shell and just became this awkward bunch of nerves. And he basically, the kind of effect that Chiellini wanted to have on him, he had the exact same kind of desired effect. I mean, before a penalty shootout, you're picking up the opposition team's captain in your arms and you're flailing him about like he's some long lost buddy of yours. I mean, that's the kind of attitude with which the Italians are going in. Chiellini more specifically, because it might just have been a case of, look, this might be the last time I'm in a penalty shootout of a major tournament. By the time the World Cup comes around, he's going to be what, 37, 38. We don't know if he's going to be around. Going by his track record, he very well might be. But if your captain has that kind of candor about him and he has that kind of attitude about himself, it might rub on to the entire team as well. I thoroughly loved seeing that. I thought it was one of my best on pitch football moments that I've seen as a spectator live. Honestly, it was so different to see. It was mind blowing.
As they
Yeah,
say,
Kaustav.
as they say in Italian, he was the commendatore, which is the commander of the entire match. But then again, you cannot underestimate the gaffer on the other end. And then again, of course, it's not just a battle between two teams; it also is the battle between two managers, which is the commendatore versus the gaffer. But then again, yeah, the confidence that Chiellini showed while the toss, flicking around Jordi Alba very funnily. I think he punched him as well, right? I punched him or slapped him, as far as I know.
Punched
Which
him,
became like
slapped him, did all sorts of, I don't know what he did, man. Yeah.
It just freaks them out sometimes. It's a little bit like, but Costa, now let us move ahead. We have a question from Shashank. Best player at the Euros. Let me start with you. You pick yours, then Suyash, we go with you, and then finally Akash. So, Costa, who's your best player and why at the Euros?
uh, at the Euros, I think it'll be Bonucci, surprisingly, because his defense, the way he carried himself, to match Chiellini's talent. Of course, the duo is obviously famous, but then again, I think it'll be Bonucci at the end of the day.
Right, and then we've got Costa, Suyash.
There's a few, I think, who are in with a shout of being given that tag. Chiesa has been fantastic. I think people who didn't follow the Serie A or Juventus closely would now know who Chiesa is and what he can do, because he scored such crucial goals for them throughout the tournament. He's never disappointed. And Sterling then for England, who's also had a great tournament. Again, not the most loved player, but I think the fact that he keeps getting into those
But
attacking
he's
positions
also
and
treated a little unfairly as well by
right,
the media.
right,
Yeah,
right, right. Which
keeping
is why I
the
think
keeping
it's
the dive, if
yeah,
we may call it that, aside, I think he's done
yeah.
fairly well.
No, he has, and he deserves. So because of this entire narrative that's been built around Raheem Sterling, I think it would be a little unfair to exclude him from the conversation just because of the flack he received from his own fans. And it again, it has to do with a lot of factors that I believe are off the pitch as well, but we won't get into that. Sterling deserves to be in that conversation, and if England go on to win the Euros, then he might be in with a shout for actually being declared player of the tournament as well. There's England, on the other hand. While they've been riding on Sterling's attacking prowess, they've also done well defensively. So either of the two English centre backs, I think, from Harry Maguire has had a great tournament, and so has Luke Shaw. I don't think Luke Shaw has disappointed in any game that I've seen him. He seems like he's a different player compared to the one that
Very
we see at
underrated.
Manchester United. Yeah, so
Very
underrated. So
underrated. Yeah.
there are a few, but those come to my mind first off.
And finally, Akash,
Sorry, I lost the connection
the
momentarily.
best
What was the
player at the
question?
Euros according to you, and why?
The best player at the Euros, it's a tough one again to call. You could pick at least two or three players. There are two or three contenders, very strong contenders in my opinion. One of them has to be Sterling. I think he's been scoring goals for fun for England. The other one, you can say defensively, has been one of the centre back pairing between Bonucci and Chiellini. The third player I'd pick for the best player of the tournament would definitely be Luke Shaw, considering the fact that he's had a horror start to his campaign 2 years ago when he came back from injury. Jose Mourinho just threw him under the bus, publicly criticizing him. That has a very bad impact on players, on any individual for that matter. So the way he's come back, the way he has proved all his doubters wrong, he has been in great form for club and country, and he deserves to be in that list, I think, for one of the players of the tournament. And it will be someone from either obviously the Italian or the English side. So these three would be my pick. One of these three definitely.
I would
Yeah,
obviously
Kaustav.
also, I'll also add Raheem Sterling because he more than just scoring goals for fun. He's fast. He's lethal. At the end of the day. However, the dive obviously gives him a bad name at the end of it all. However, if at that stage, if it comes to a draw, even if it was a dive, it was a very tactical mentality when it comes to dribbling inside the box, just throwing yourself at the defenders. It requires a lot of skill to do so as well. So Raheem Sterling and Harry Kane.
Right. So
It
we've got a
wasn't a
question.
dive actually. So
Yeah.
if you looked at the clip that I had shared the other day, it wasn't a dive. The last moment, there was this left leg that had sort of come in of a Danish defender, and that caused him to sort of fall. And when you're running at full throttle, and when you come across a player who's trying to block you, it is natural that you're going to fall. Especially, I mean, this someone who's actually played. I'm sure Kaustav, you also played football, and you still play football with your folks. So
Yes.
if you are running at full speed, it is impossible for you to hold yourself down when slightest of touches. You are
I just
bound to go down.
Absolutely. I'll just add on to that. I saw the video. However, if you go to see, very closely, he was already falling. Of course, both the touches, I completely agree with you. But then again, he was already falling, and that's when the touches, came into the picture, and that's when he fell down. So
So
it
do you
might
think
contradict a little bit.
We've got a question from Shantanu, which is like, do you think this victory, assuming it comes home, of course, will be treated at par with or greater than the 2019 World Cup or the 2005 Ashes? I think it will be somewhere close to the 2005 Ashes because Ashes has been really iconic in England. And when they won it after a long time, they had a full parade in Trafalgar Square in England. And then later they even went to the PM's residence. This time, 2019 World Cup, while I was there, they had a small get together, comparatively smaller one at the Oval itself the next day, and then they had gone to the PM's house. But the outpour of emotion that we saw during the Ashes 2005, maybe we will see something much greater this time because they've been waiting for it since 1966. And when it comes to cricket, I think for a while England was used to them, like they won the 2020 World Cup and they had won the others. And considering just how popular football is more than cricket, I think it will be maybe a bit with the Ashes or maybe even a bit above that. 2019 World Cup was special, but not quite there. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of don't have any frame of reference to compare them since it's cross sport. But if you're to gauge it by relevance or national
Well,
importance,
they
then
have
I
Queen
would even
Elizabeth. They have Queen Elizabeth,
right.
who wrote a letter to Southgate saying that 55 years ago I had the pleasure of handing the trophy over.
Right. So, I mean, all I'll ask is, did the Queen write a letter to the English cricket team captain during the 2005 Ashes? Maybe not. So, just by virtue of that, this will be greater than any of the other victories that England have had.
Costa,
I agree with you 100%. I have nothing to add.
Akash, I guess you're also in agreement.
Definitely. So, I mean, my cricketing knowledge is not that great. It's very limited. But from what I have seen in my own experience, the Ashes and the other tournament that they won later on, the World Cup, this tournament, this one would top any other tournament simply because so many emotions are involved, and the fact that they're saying it's coming home, you can imagine the emotions attached with it, and they truly believe that England is the home of football and it's coming back to them after so many years. So a lot of
Right.
emotions are attached to more than any other game or more than any other tournament for that matter, I think.
Costa, you had a few numbers before we wrap up, or some facts and figures that you'd like to share.
Yes, of course. But then again, I think we leave that for the trivia if at all we're going forward with it. Because then again, that also is included in the trivia as well. So,
Right, you can go ahead for the trivia. We anyways will wrap up in some time.
all right. So I have a couple of questions for you guys. Are you all up for the
Oh,
trivia?
wow. Of course. Random quizzes, why not?
Um, uh, Random quizzes, of course. So the first question would be, is this how many runners-up in the European how many runner-up trophies have Italy won in the European Championships in the history?
Yeah, I can
I,
remember 2012. I can remember. Yeah, yeah.
I think it was three. Is it 3 times they finished as runners up? I think no, three.
Suyash, you
I
might
think
care for
2000.
a guess?
I was
They
going to go
finished
with
in
three as
2000.
well. I was going
They
to go with
finished
three
in
as well, but it's
2000
clearly very
and
wrong.
2012. I remember two.
Ah,
Absolutely right. Two of them.
two,
Italy
right.
have won as a, yeah. The other one would be this is Italy's dash major tournament final. So
Okay,
10th.
so see, there was a time when every
Seventh.
12 years Italy used to make it to the FIFA World Cup final. Every 12 years. And if I count that, eight.
wow. No, both of you guys are wrong. Akash, would you care a guess?
I think is it 10th major final, 10 times.
Absolutely,
10th.
absolutely, absolutely.
Oh,
10.
Six of
wow.
them have been six of them have been in the World Cup and four in the Euros.
Euros.
Yes,
Moving on to the next question. Sorry, go on, Nishad.
yeah, exactly.
All right. Moving on to the next question. It could be a tough one. Actually, I'm not going to go for this. Uh, Italy have finished as a runner-up for two occasions. Oh, we covered that question. I'm so sorry. Uh, uh, I think the next question will be way too tough, so I'm not going to go for it. We end the trivia around here itself. कार्यक्रम समाप्त, my guys. Uh,
Okay, fantastic. So, anyways, guys, finally the
You know, this
question.
doesn't reflect very
Yes,
well on us, right, Kaustav?
that's okay. I
The
tend
fact
to
that you
compliment.
but yes, let now
no,
this next
I
question.
was talking about Akash and mine and Nishad's knowledge, but I'll take that up with you later.
See, factual knowledge, GK. I was a quizzer, so which is why I remember a lot of this. But anyways, Yes or no question, one by one. Is it coming home? Kaustav,
Considering it's Wembley, yes, it is.
Suyash,
Yes.
Akash.
Going by my jersey's color, you could actually speculate on my answer. I don't think it
Yes or
is.
no? No, no. Yes or no?
I doubt. No.
No. Okay,
I
so we've
am
got.
sort of,
But for me, it's
yeah.
like head says England, heart says Italy. But anyways, we'll be seeing what's in store for you guys, and we hope it's a very good final because the football that we have seen has been incredible. We've seen so many moments right throughout this Euro where starting with the way Christian Eriksen and the way football world united around to pray for his recovery to now, and everything that we've seen. And by the way, Kaustav is a Banerjee, and I may tell him that Samir Banerjee has won the junior Wimbledon title. He's from the US, though not
Wow.
from Bengal. But Samir Banerjee has won. So yes, there are
Thank you,
things happening.
Nishad. Thank you.
Yeah, there are things happening in 2021. Today itself, Lionel Messi broke that drought. Who knows if England also do that? Keep watching Niche Sports. You can subscribe to our channel, press the bell icon for all the updates, and remember to follow us across all the social media platforms. Remember, we are also live on LinkedIn, and it is always a pleasure to have you. And we'll have a lot more in the days to come. There's the Olympics in 2 weeks' time, where there'll be some content with regards to that as well. And we've got someone in Tokyo who will be joining us for a special episode. So thank you so much, everyone, and keep watching Niche Sports.
Salud.
Thank you, guys.